you can look at a prison riot, and that's very territorial. Things are going on, and there's usually an underlying
more predatory
thing. But if you go and you watch, let's say like there's a band like Lamb of God or Slayer.
Okay.
But there's a thing called the Wall of Death, and that is where and bands like Slipknot do it. They'll have a venue of a few thousand people. And by a few, I mean like 5,000, 6,000, lots of people.
Small crowd.
And they'll have them separate. And they'll build them up. And they on just my count, unleash hell. And they'll all just, boom. And it just turns into this crazy thing. But it is an interesting,
I've seen one of these.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's nuts. But at the same time, it's a tribal release that you actually, if you look into the origins of like the Filipino martial arts, Indonesian arts, even arts like capoeira from Brazil.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like group tribal release that happens in Indonesia and Malaysia, Brunei, all those places. They still have like full on like stick matches where the guy's got a shield, the other guy or even African arts.
I've seen that in African tribes.
And it's a big energy.
Yeah.
But it's a bonding release, but it also is kind of like a weird, and I think it's very much of it not necessarily related to this, but it's preparing for that idea of the chaos of battle. When everybody's going at the same time. Who's your buddy? Who's your thing? How can
Where's your six?
That's the thing. Is like, can your periphery keep up with all that? Can you dodge a flying elbow?
Right.
I can. But it's like one of those things of like, if you're in that.
And is it friend or foe, and is it somebody you know or don't know?
Now try.
Was this made out of malice, or was it just I got too close to somebody?
It's like, and then what happens to it? Those kind of shows is like you have guys who are jocks, dicks, just going out there just trying to hurt people, and those guys usually get dealt with.
Right.
The guy that we'll look for though is that big dude in the middle that's just like standing there like, I'm a Viking, go ahead,
Yeah.
But it's an interesting.
Your brother.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, that's he was that dude.
You stayed next to him.
Oh, dude. What's funny is though I used to also work security at shows like those.
Oh, what the?
And so when you're doing that, like you have dudes trying to dive into the stage.
Right.
And like those are like you literally have to watch out for getting like a boot in your head. But
You just drop kick off the stage?
oh no, they'll like dive over a crowd, into the crowd, over onto the stage, or jump up onto the stage and then dive off. But that's not as prevalent these days as it used to be.
It's tamed down a bit.
Well, it's not even so much tamed down as it's been kind of
banned.
Well, and there's a reason for that.
Let him speak. Let him
People
speak.
are dying.
You guys have heard of the band Pantera, correct?
Yes, Pantera. Yeah.
Well, their guitar player, Dimebag, rest in peace, bud.
Yeah.
He was literally like playing on stage. Guy jumps up, shoots like 3 other dudes, and
I remember that story.
So and it was crazy.
Yeah, it
really, I mean, like in the heavy metal community and the musician community, it was a big like, whoa, that can happen.
Yeah.
Because when you're on stage, you're literally like in almost another world. You're in another zone. You're kind of doing your thing. You're making music. Everything's loud. You're trying to connect with it. Give out as much energy as possible. Look really cool.
Dopamine, your brain is pumping out.
Yeah.
You're on a high.
You are,
super
100%.
high.
And it's that's a lot like martial arts.
Yeah.
Is that like when you're
zone.
when you're going and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just feeling it, and you're just there,
and then you realize,
just
I'm bleeding.
and that's kind of the thing. Is like you don't even. It's
not till afterwar's you're like, why does this hurt? Oh, I'm bleeding.
Oh yeah. Well, that's gonna leave a nice scar.
Don't tell his wife.
Do not. She's sick of that stuff. But
we definitely gotta have her on the show. She's coming on the show.
She's gonna come on the show like.
Yeah.
Just off the bat before we even introduce her.
We have now we have a new guest.
Nice. But anyway, so yeah, I did that, and then right after the death metal band thing kind of fell apart, and I was just done with it. That's when I got into martial arts really, and I've always kind of had this thing of like, going back and forth between music and martial arts and stuff. But
From chaotic violence to organized violence.
right, 100%.
How ironic.
It's just refinement. I'm bettering myself.
I'm learning to do it much better.
But
I need to learn how to avoid that elbow better.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Martial arts.
But after all that, and then later on when I was probably about 24.
Right.
24.
They opened a guitar center in Modesto, and they needed people that knew about guitars,
New music,
and I knew a little bit more than the average Joe.
So were you the kind of that broke guitars on stage?
Oh,
or
no, that's the dumbest shit ever.
I'm just asking.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna do that, I understand why Hendrix did it at the time and Pete Townsend did it at the time as this like shocking effect, because that's what you're doing. You're creating shock. You're trying to get people to notice what's going on. And back then too, again, you didn't have that stuff wasn't on TV.
Nope.
It really wasn't. But people would tell you legend of like Hendrix took a flaming guitar and threw it around, and people would be like, "What?" Yeah. So they had to know what that was. Right. And parents hated it, so you really had to know what it was. Right. And so I was never that dude. Okay. Ever.
Just one.
He didn't have the money. Remember?
It did not. And that's an expensive.
Starving musician. Yeah.
Even a cheap guitar is worth something. Yeah. But I worked there. I met a bunch of other local musicians. I formed a band, and
so you formed another band.
Oh, yeah, later.
You were a part of a band. You left, got a job, and then formed a band. Okay.
Yeah. And in between, it was a lot of martial arts and a lot of, because after the Kempo thing, I started doing Kali and JKD and Muay Thai and a little tiny bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu back then.
Yeah, we never finished that list, did we?
Yeah, Pinjak Salat.
Pinjak Salat. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah, okay. Here, let me get a drink of water real quick.
I've seen you move, and
dude, he moves like a gazelle.
That's the thing is that even the stuff we were doing, which is kind of straightforward in stand-up, you can see his legs just automatically move, and he drop. I'm like,
you actually look like a sexy ballerina when you.
I feel like a sexy ballerina. I really do.
Should I give you guys some time?
No, because
we could shine each other's hands.
I've actually seen some of your videos.
That's a lot of
this guy just moves some real. I mean, you actually move very well for a tall guy.
And that's an interesting thing too.
I find that sizist.
Well, it is.
Can he just move well?
No, seriously though, for a tall guy that you don't move lanky. You remember
short, I don't know
Abdul-Jabbar when he was in the Bruce Lee movie?
Yes. Oh, yeah,
you see when he did that kick, it looked so like
awkward.
So funny thing you say about that. Do you know how many times I studied that stupid that scene? Because my brother is 6'9", and I'm like, that's gonna work. Yeah. Because it didn't, Steve.
Sorry, Steve.
One of the problems was my brother, being a tall dude, he studied all the same stuff I was studying, basically. Yeah. And so you would think a guy like that, what's the idea? You get on the inside of a tall guy, right?
Oh, of course.
Well, the problem is that he had all of these elbows from Kali and Kempo. And so now his now you're in a whole other thing, and it's like, but so
like a grinder.
So my first experience with Pinjak Salat was actually that's actually a really good segue, because I started studying. There was a school / kind of warehouse gym that was. It wasn't really like a school.
You studied in a lot of sketchy places, man.
That's the way you get the best stuff. I mean, you know taco trucks.
Yeah.
The best taco trucks are always in the sketchiest part of town. That's a truthism.
That's that's my town.
So that's the thing is a lot of these places were guys, because a chain school, the McDojo is going to have the best school. They're going to have the shiny thing. They're going to have the contract. They're going to have
the worst fighters
at the mall.
That's kind of it. And you might find a gym where they might have a Taekwondo program or a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program that keeps the lights on and everybody's shiny and happy. But then there's or there's that one older Filipino guy that comes in and teaches the arnis.
That guy.
And that's the best kind of guy. And he might have the keys to the school and teaches the head sensei So if you know that guy, you go there. But for the most part, especially, and again, in the 90s, JKD and Kali and stuff was, if you read Black Belt magazine, you knew what it was. But
most small articles though.
Yeah, well, not like that, and the availability of it was like that.
A lot of it was in LA though.
Yeah, LA,
and you had to go over there to
do anything.
And which is surprising because in Stockton,
that's
where it's big, but you wouldn't find it anywhere outside of Stockton.
Right.
Well, if you talk to the workers,
unless you went to Daly City.
Well, so that's the funny thing is like years later, I would like being a guy who is, let's face it, a tall white dude. For me, especially back then, Filipinos tend to be very keep it close to the chest.
Yeah,
you know, you keep it close to the vest.
Especially back then.
And so, if I actually met one of my instructors through just being, he was a musician and he played Hawaiian music, and cool. We got together, and his last name was Castro. His name was George Castro, and.
Different George.
Well,
Castro.
Okay.
But my first ask, I was like, "Oh, you play Hawaiian music? Your last name's Castro. Are you related to Ralph Castro?" which I was like, that would have been cool too.
Yeah, no relation,
but not even kind of. But so the funny thing is he started showing me like some Bikini Tertia, and he was a student under. Alfredo Bandalan. And Dos Apares.
Yeah.
And I think at some point he had also stayed with Mike and Ian. Because he just kind of, again, had this like weird blend of stuff that he threw at me and was like, no, your legs are too far apart. I'm like, but I'm like 6. And you're like,
this is a natural gait, dude.
But so when I first encountered Clot was when I was studying PFS, which is Paul Vunak's version. It's kind of JKD, like Junfan mixed in with like Kali and some Thai boxing and other things, and like
Vunak did that a lot.
He just kind of threw it all together in one thing, and it's not like where with Guru Dan's Eno Santos system where it's just like just this huge amount of work. Like there's so much depth and like detail to everything. This was more of like. No, you want to get to a point where you can just like get in there, gouge the eyes, headbutt, elbow. That's it. That's your end goal. You know, trapping's cool, but let's do this.
Elegant.
Yeah. It was really just
in its ugliness.
And I appreciated that because again, like we went hard, we went rough. We put on like the early gear where I forget the brand, it was like Spear or something like that. And it was like some of that first like head padding gear where you had a plexiglass, so you would like do like eye gouges to like as hard as you could. And then I had another teacher at that point. He wasn't really a teacher. He'd just kind of show up and like show us stuff.
He was that guy in the corner.
No, he was there, but he would, and his name was Dave Hong, and he was a student of Richard Bastillo, and so he wouldn't show us any of like the JKD stuff because he said he wasn't authorized, but he would show us like anything that he learned at like a seminar or was possibly like, so he had a weird, like, it was sort of like Eno Santos style, but you could definitely see like a very strong influence of like Dos Apares.
Already?
Keep going, go ahead.
But
never mind that.
But he had gone to one of Herman Suwanda's seminars and studied some Munda. And so he brought it back and just wanted to like try it on us. Not necessarily teach us, but like be like, this is have a body to work on. So that was like my first
body to work on. Come here, you're tall.
I need a dummy.
This guy. This guy.
They always picked on the big guy, didn't they?
Yeah, well, the thing is I wasn't the biggest guy. I was a big guy. Well, my brother was there.
Oh, that's right.
So he's the biggest guy, and it looks better when you can do it on
the regular, big guy.
The
medium height.
The average big guy.
I prefer to call above average.
That's what she said.
You have no idea.
She's a good liar. It helps your ego.
Oh no. But
it's a good wife.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, so that was where I first encountered, but it wasn't like it didn't really stick with me like the Kali. And
I have a question for you
sir.
because you brought it up and it begs to be asked. What do you think of those seminar professionals? The guys who go to every one of those things but never really gets up to do any of them. You know the guy I'm talking about?
Oh, you mean the guys that like they go to it and they just sit and they don't do any like any
they pay all the money, they do all the things,
but they don't actually train.
And they don't actually But then when you talk to them, oh yeah, I used to, and I went to, and I did this.
You know, it's one of those things. Is like I understand the idea, the wanting to be an observer and see people move.
Right.
And honestly, sometimes it's similar, especially if you go to somebody like Guru Dan.
Right.
He is like. He puts out so much information. So sometimes you would almost just kind of want to sit back and be like, I'm going to try and write some notes and remember what the hell he said.
And I get that, and the reason why I brought that up, because we had a guest by the name of Conrad Bui.
Oh yeah, Conrad's an awesome dude.
And he talked about why some of these people go. And it's for
socialization.
Yeah. This guy, but they can't fight a lick. Sure. But they spend $200 or $300
just to go,
just to
be there, and
just to say.
Maybe,
I rubbed elbows with
you know, there's the side of it that if you wanted to be like, well, they're not a real martial artist, but there is another very, very positive side to what they are doing. And what did you just say? He went to the thing and spent how much? $200, $300
whatever,
dollars to go see Guru Dan Inosanto, who makes his living doing that. Good on you, buddy. Just go and do it.
That's that's good support.
You know, it is support.
You're so negative.
No, it's not that I was trying to be negative. I just find it interesting that some of these guys, when you talk to them,
they say oh yeah, I did this. I've trained with this person. And I've got this certificate.
And we all know that. No,
sure. There's a lot of it. But you know, my opinion is like, you know, if it's not hurting me, I don't really care.
Yeah. Well,
you know, I honestly like things like. If they're bragging and they're putting somebody down, or they're like, oh, that material just sucked. I'm like, well, you didn't even do it.
Right.
But that's different than like somebody going and being now if they're bragging about going and like they trained under this person.
That a lot too.
There's a lot of that. But
it's like, look at my shiny car.
But me personally, again, coming from a background in music where being in a local band, the support of other people and creating a scene that is, I mean, at least at some form kind of has some unification and like you're
that acceptance.
You're helping other bands by going to see them.
Right.
Okay. And that community,
The community. And you're
paying. And I get that. I mean, you know, I love those people. The people who are going to be there to support me, to watch what I do and all that.
Sure.
But the part that irks me are these guys who
Stolen
go to
valor.
those things. Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
And they propagate the idea that they're really good because they went to these things.
But the other thing too is like I can't really relate to that because if I go to a seminar,
I see you're moving, you're playing, you're doing.
I try and train with as many people as I can, and a lot of times there'll be people like something like Maestro Mike's seminars that he put on. Beautiful, just like multiple different I've gotten to train everything from Hawaiian Lua to Kosharu Kempo to you know, at one time he had a Iajitsu, like a Japanese katana.
Wow.
Which I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm doing that.
I'm doing this, yeah.
But you know, he's also the idea too though is especially coming from the 90s where we were starving to learn.
No access.
Yeah, there was nothing. Like everybody was playing everything close to even styles like your Kempo styles were like, you can't show this stuff to the outside.
Yeah, the
world.
open stuff. Yeah.
Because they'll see it and then they'll know. But it's that tribalism.
Yeah, Danny, my brother Danny got berated by some Filipino guys saying, "Why are you showing that here?
Yeah,
and you're not even getting paid for it. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like what?
But to go to seminars is again, it's a blessing to be able to like not only see what somebody else is teaching, but to move with other people
and support
Well, not just sport,
No, but
but,
just
but
be
you
able
get
to
to
move
like
and-
move
and
with
you get-
body styles, body
Yeah.
types, different
Well, you know,
influences, different.
And you bring up a fascinating point because, like, we would go to stick fight tournaments.
Sure,
Right?
yeah.
We'd go to a tournament, and Danny, my brother who created our system,
Yeah.
had always said, "We're not there to win. We're just there to see
Just-
how it matches up against
Yeah,
somebody who isn't from our school."
Yeah.
Well, and then also too is like, especially if you're doing something like Kaji Kimbo or something like that, it really helps you, especially in an art like Kaji Kimbo where it's karate, jujitsu,
Right.
Kimbo.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going there and you get the chance to study with a guy who does Danzanryu, jujitsu, well, that's a link back to your art
your
that
art.
you're already doing.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of morphed away from that, it gives
it's
you
a piece
like
of
a
it,
little like
a deeper understanding.
deeper understanding, a little bit of a vitamin B shot to
Yeah.
your what you're doing, and then also it might help you, especially if you're a teacher, teaching a little thing, especially with arts like that where there's so many like
Little nuances.
little
yeah.
nuances of like how you do this, how you do that,
Yeah.
and then you have a guy really put it on you, and you're like,
Dude,
oh,
we had Professor Denise Gonzalez do this thing, and he was like, "Oh my god!" you know.
oh yeah, the dance of pain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Small
You
circle.
can
Small
you can hear,
circles. Yeah, we're like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
The odd thing about small circle, well, for one, small circle, I think is again, it's just like the concept behind it is beautiful,
Yeah.
and it will help you if you're doing any kind of art.
Oh yeah.
Especially, and especially if you're doing something like Aikido or
Yeah.
anything like that, it will give. Or if you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy,
Even more so. Yeah.
even more so, because now you're going to have some effing dirty tricks.
Yeah.
Well,
that are not.
it's
that are
helped me-
not-
It's
yeah.
helped me with my FMA, and it's
Absolutely.
just the concept of taking movements and compressing them.
Yeah.
Compressing the idea of this big circle, now it's a little circle.
Well, so
and
when
then the
it,
spiral, and then the supporting axis to it.
well, just even taking that concept of big circle, little or medium circle,
Yeah.
you can take that beyond even like what it's doing on the body. And let's say you got a knife.
Yeah.
So let's say a C, what we call a C cut, or a reverse C. Yeah,
Right.
whoop, right? So a big